It was just a couple of weeks ago that my friend who is in question, who had this accident last night and crashed into the ground, he got a new glider. He went from a BGD base to a Sigma 10 from Advance. That jump is absolutely gigantic. That is an absolutely gigantic jump. The difference between a B glider and a C glider is probably the most significant of any glider class difference. From B to a C is a really big jump. The Sigma 10 is a no-joke, real deal glider. It is fully capable of all kinds of acrobatics. It has a great glide and retains a lot of energy, is very dynamic. And if you've heard in the cross-country community, they have referred to the Sigma 10 as the Sigma Stigma because it's known for some pretty wild reactions to fully accelerated asymmetric collapses. Woo! So that was a big step for him. When I first heard that he was stepping to the Sigma, I just knew that I felt that he wasn't ready for that. I felt he wasn't ready. And so I want to share with you my internal process here as to why I didn't tell him that. And I didn't consciously not tell him that. I just never quite felt the right moment that it was appropriate and that it would be received in a loving and caring way. Because we all know, I've been talking about this a lot, we all have a bunch of different motivations for paragliding. Some of them are good and some of them are unseen. And I want to talk about some specific unseen motivations in my friend here and how they manifested, how I heard them. Okay, so essentially the other night we were up paragliding. He said to me, yeah, I'm glad to get a new glider because that BGD base, it turns out that glider's not made for cross country. And I said, no, that glider's made for cross country. Or no, it's not the Arrow, it's the Indian. It's not the glider, it's the pilot. And he says, no, Ari, when your whole class at an XC clinic is leaving you behind on glide. And in that moment, it became clear what was actually happening for him. It was clear that at that XC clinic, he was comparing himself to other pilots. This is something I've done too. This is not something I look down on, okay? My soapbox is very short here. It is very dangerous to compare yourself to other pilots in paragliding. The emotional need that is happening here is there is an emotional need to feel like you're part of the talented group, that you're the guys on the tip of the spear, the leading edge, the people who are pushing it, the people who are good, the people who are experts, the people who we look up to, right? The Kriegels. But frustration comes when there is disillusionment, when there is a disparity between the expectations of your own performance and your actual performance. Frustration comes when there's a disparity between where you think you should be and where you are, where you think you are and where you really are. An easy way to try to band-aid this emotional need that's not being met is to try to get a more advanced glider. If you think you're not performing well enough and you think other people are out-gliding you, out-climbing you, out-trim-speeding you, instead of having to look at the hard emotional needs that I have to be good and to be better and to think of myself with admiration and pride that I'm worthy, instead of having to look deep at those emotions that are bringing up this self-comparison to other pilots, instead of that, you can just get a new glider, a hotter glider that'll go faster. When people see you inflated, they'll be like, oh, damn, that guy's on a new Sigma. It's like, he must be sick. Oh, he's got a good pod. He's got a good glider. He must be really good. And it feels good to look good. I wouldn't deny that for a second. I like flying hot gliders. I like flying acrobatics. I like showing off. I don't want to have to show off. I don't want that part of me to be the person who decides what to do in the air. I want to be a centered, calm, humble adult that knows he's worth being cautious for to fly the paraglider, okay? I want that. I want that for you too. So that's why I'm telling you, don't step up on the glider because you have an emotional need to be good. Sit with that emotional need. That's okay. It's okay. You don't have to shame yourself because you have an emotional need that you're trying to meet through paragliding. No, we're all trying to make emotional needs met through paragliding. We're all trying to have emotional responses of joy, exhilaration, of thrill, of progression, of all these things. These are all emotional needs that we're trying to meet through paragliding. That's really important to recognize. Once you recognize that you're trying to have your emotional needs met through paragliding, you can contextualize your need to be good, to be fast, to fly far, to fly high, all of these different things. And you can see in that your self-comparison. And your self-comparison can really kill you here in this sport. It can really kill you. If you compare yourself to other people, then you will never fly your own flight, which is so important. You have to fly your own flight in paragliding. I have been ditched flying cross country. I have been left by the group. I have arrived to a gaggle of people that are thermaling and they're climbing, and I get there and there's just nothing. And I just bomb out. That hurts. It hurts. But what you do with that hurt is really important. What you do with that hurt makes or breaks you as a pilot. What you do with the feelings of wishing that you were better will define you as a pilot. Because the immature emotional response is to get a faster glider, higher aspect ratio, harder to fly, more challenging. The mature emotional response is to be with your feelings and to acknowledge them. That's fine. And also allow yourself to focus on your flying. Because the reality is that the professional cross-country pilots will trade gliders with you. You can fly their Enzo and they'll fly your E and B, and they will whip the shit out of you every single time. Because it is not the arrow, it's the Indian. It is not the glider, it is the pilot. Time and time again. You need to stop focusing on your glider. The best glider in the world is the one that you have. Okay? And until you totally rag that thing out and can fly at full speed bar and you can stall it and heli it and you're totally flying it at the wit's end of its capability, is it time to step to a new glider? Also, you need to recognize the emotional maturity that comes with stepping onto a new glider. Stepping onto a new glider takes the emotional awareness that you're doing it for the right reasons. And I can't tell you if you're doing it for the right reasons or not. That is something that only you can decide through introspection. You need to take more time to integrate your flying, to integrate your experience, to contextualize paragliding in your life so that you can have it feed you. Because the reality is that if you are stepping up on a glider to try to fill an emotional need, it means that paragliding is not filling your emotional needs as it is. A new glider will not do it. It's only just going to make you hungrier and hungrier and hungrier. And you'll continue this futile search to be filled up by something that won't ever do it because the internal processes that you have to metabolize your own experience and turn them into meaning are not there. You have to deliberately take paragliding and use it as a tool to create meaning in your life. It will not just make meaning by itself. If you don't make the meaning, no one else will. You have to use paragliding as a tool to create meaning. Extra risk is not a good way to try to have your emotional needs met. It's not a good way. It's very dangerous. Okay? So before you step up on a glider, I would love to see you absolutely overflowing with gratitude, presence, reverence, caution, discernment, good decisions, mastery on the current glider that you have. Okay? If the glider that you have is not making you happy, no glider will. Stop kidding yourself. You can't buy happiness. I want to see you fly far. I want to see you land. I want to see you land elated. When we fly cross country and you bomb out early, I want you to contextualize that experience in a way that feeds you, that there is room for you to learn, that the universe is giving you a lesson today for you to grow emotionally and to deal with feeling left out, to deal with feeling like you're not enough, or that you're not as good as you thought, or any number of the emotions that can come up when you bomb out on a paraglider flying cross country and your buddies just cloud street away. I want to see you use paragliding as a tool for transformation in your life, because that's what it is. And if you're not using it as a tool for transformation, then you're probably using it as a tool to cover up all of the shit that's happening in you. And that's not the right way to do it. So be careful. Be in touch with your emotions. Paragliding is calling you into more emotional maturity. It is calling you into being more grateful for your life, for your relationships, for your wife and your family and your friends. These things are worth more than your next step in progression paragliding. And if you have your priorities straight, you won't be at risk of dying. Okay?